at 6 p.m. and it's 2023, so it's time to call the City Council meeting to order. Ms. Rhodes, roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Austin.
Here.
Mr. Hukin.
Here.
Ms. McGinnis.
Here.
Ms. Nally.
Here.
Ms. Price.
Here.
Mr. Prine.
Here.
Well, you're not Ms.
I was going to say, did my voice really change?
I always do that. It always sounds so familiar and everything.
Ms. Price.
Here.
Mr. Prine.
Yes. Here.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Brian Reese with the prayer and pledge.
All right, invite you to join me. Father, we come to you this evening grateful just for a beautiful day. We just want to give you thanks for that first and for your goodness. We pray tonight that you'd be with our federal leadership in our country, be with all of our armed forces. Thank you for their service. Protect them as they protect our freedom, and be with our state government. But Lord, tonight we pray for this local government in our city. I pray for our council and our mayor as they consider the items on the agenda. May you give them wisdom, discernment to make the right decisions for our city and the people who live here. Bless our evening tonight. Thank you for all those who serve in the different departments of our city. They do a great job, and we're grateful for them. Give us a blessed night, we ask in your name. Amen. Amen. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, I think we'll just start out with the presentation from the Johnson County Public Library 2022 review. Seems like it was just yesterday you was here last year.
I know, a whole year has gone by. Hi, I'm Lisa Littner. I'm the director of the Johnson County Public Library. We have branches in Franklin, White River Township, Trafalgar, and the New Clark Pleasant branch. With me tonight are two of our board trustee members. We have Gretchen Beeman here, as well as Dan Mitchell, board president. Give a big wave, Dan, to everybody. Well, we know who's in charge. It's Dan. We just wanted to share with you our updates from 2022. So in your little packet here, you have a infograph of what our achievements were statistic-wise, and then we also have a catalog of our spring events. They're all free and open to the public. And we also have a little yellow sheet of just upcoming programs in March of 2023. That and a couple in April as well. We have so many things to be proud of from 2022, and our biggest achievement was the opening of the new Clark Pleasant branch exactly a month ago, a year ago. It seems like a month ago. It was a year ago. We opened the doors there, and the community has responded overwhelmingly positive, just such increases in our usage. Our circulation has doubled, and comparing numbers from 2019, our door count is up 30%, which is really, really strong for a new library system, a new building. We also wanted to share that last year we updated our children's learning spaces at the Franklin branch and the White River branch. And then we will be investing some funds at the Trafalgar branch to have an experience for early childhood learning similar to what is at the Clark Pleasant branch. So we're going to be putting a little bit more. That building's going to receive some really fantastic features and make it a destination for families. Also highlighted in 2022, we hosted a Read to Me Jamboree at the New Clark Pleasant branch. That was an early childhood learning festival. We joined the Indiana State Consortium for eBooks with Overdrive. And if you have a Kindle Paperwhite, that's really, really important because now you can finally download books for free with your library card. Most other devices work with all of our other resources, but just that one device you couldn't get eBooks with. So we're glad we can offer that now. We also collaborated with the Johnson County Community Foundation and Aspire last year to do the Great Arts Quest, which was a scavenger hunt of looking at 40 pieces of public art all throughout Johnson County. And also upcoming this year, is a new bookmobile. We're getting to serve the Bargersville area a little bit better, and then also some places where it's difficult for people to come to the library. So there might be transportation barriers or other things like summer programs will go where kids are and make sure they're doing Explore Summer Reading Program. So bookmobile coming this summer, keep your fingers crossed. It did arrive, so we at least have it, but it's being, getting the bookshelves and stuff put into it right now. Also new for 2023, in the next couple months, we are going to be doing a feasibility study for the Franklin branch and the White River branch to see what major improvements we can do to those libraries and bring them up to the Trafalgar and the Clark Pleasant kind of level. But they're going to stay. At this point, we're looking at where they are seated right now. So there's no moving of the Franklin branch. It's going to be where it is. But we'll be asking some community visioning input. So I'll share that information with you all as we plan those programs. And now I'll turn it over to Gretchen Beeman, who will share some upcoming programs with you.
Thank you, Lisa. I just wanted to highlight some programs that you and your family can join us at the library. In March, we are partnering with the Johnson County Museum of History to provide a program on how the town of Trafalgar got its name and the famous Battle of Trafalgar, and that'll be March 14th. In April, on April 30th, we'll be celebrate Dia at the Clark Pleasant branch at 2 p.m. This is an early childhood literacy event for families and the grand opening of the exploration walk there at the branch. The exploration walk will provide children with fitness and STEAM learning activities along the trail around that new Clark Pleasant branch. The 3 Rotary clubs of Johnson County came together to fund this project for their district grants, and we're thankful for that. And in May, on May 15th, it kicks off our Explore Summer Learning Program, and it runs through July 31st. And while the program is open to every resident in Johnson County, it's designed to keep students engaged in reading and learning during their summer out of school time to prevent learning loss. So we're happy to answer any questions or listen to any comments you have about JCPL.
Looks like your numbers are amazing. Right, 30% increases.
Yep, it's
Amazing.
great. And still holding strong on the circulation, which is one of our goals, so it's fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gals. Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Chairman going to speak?
Sounds like you and I are in the same boat.
We did the same thing to Steve as well.
Okay, with that being said, is there any other presentations? Okay, there's no presentations. How about announcements? How about public comment? Hearing none, we'll go on to consent agenda.
Move to approve the meeting minutes from February 22nd, 2023.
Second.
Second by Mr. Taylor. All those, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Move to read new business by title only.
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Prine. So new business by title only. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none. ERA and tax abatement request and public hearing. Community Development Specialist Dana Monson.
Good evening. I am here before you for the ERA designation request and the tax abatement request from Sunbeam Corporation. If you will recall, Sunbeam has been a partner with the city through 2 buildings now. They built the building that is now home to the Energizer and the building directly to the north of that, which is the Amazon building. So tonight, they are here to tell you a little bit more about their new project. They are beginning the I-65 South Commerce Park. I always have to work to get that straight. New park there. They're starting on their first building that they will anticipate will be 1 million square feet. They are expecting about a $78 million investment in that project. This was heard by the EDC on February the 14th, which received a favorable recommendation to you for approval of the ERA designation and the tax abatement. Last meeting, you had how was it you put it, Steve? Now I can't remember. the request for approval to
Oh, to
advertise,
advertise,
to
yes.
advertise for the public hearing. Yeah, I knew you changed that on me. So we did that. It has been duly noted and was publicly advertised. So we're here tonight for the confirmation of that. We also have two members of the Sunbeam Corporation here with us tonight. Mr. Justin Furr and Mr. Jamie Chrisman are here. They do have a short presentation for you to give you a little bit more detail about this project. So, gentlemen, I will turn it over to you.
Good evening, Justin Furr with Sunbeam Development. I'm the Director of Construction, and with me is our Vice President, Jamie Chrisman. If you would, I don't know who has the slides. Thank you. So a little bit about Sunbeam. We're a second-generation family-owned business. We have offices in Fishers, Indiana, and in South Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale area. And we've been in business for over 60 years. We're a major industrial developer here in central Indiana, and we have parks at I-70 West out in Monrovia, I-65 North, which is Whitestown, Zionsville. We own some ground in Shelby County on I-74 East that we're planning to develop here soon. And then our park here in Franklin on 65 South, as Dana mentioned. We have the Energizer building and then the now Amazon building north of that. And those two buildings, along with the acquisition of land that we've done to date, totals around a $90 million investment into Franklin to date. We are a spec builder, and I note that because it's important that we control the quality of our buildings and as well as the tenants that operate in our buildings. So we're extremely selective on their financial strength, their longevity, their ability to operate and not come in and start and stop. So we hold on to these buildings for the long term. To date, we haven't sold any of these large buildings. We build them as an investment for the family, and we maintain and manage those here locally out of our Fishers office, but we also have somebody that lives here close to Franklin as well that is our on-call maintenance person for those buildings. So we plan to hang on to them for the long term. Next, please. Thanks. I-65 South Commerce Park totals 542 acres of land currently incorporated into the city of Franklin and has already been zoned for industrial development. It's north of 44 and east of Jim Black Road. The site work has already started for the park, and we're performing that ahead of the buildings to allow for a more consistent pipeline of buildings. It takes a long time to put all the underground infrastructure, sewers, water, mains, roads, et cetera. So putting those all in ahead of time gives us the ability to start buildings in a more consistent manner. Pending market conditions, obviously things could change, but right now we plan to build 1 to 2 buildings. And each would, one after that, probably start per year going forward. An estimated 5.5 million square feet could be built over the next 5 to 7 years based on the land that we have already zoned and under our ownership. That additional investment would total about $500 million with the $90 million that we've already spent. And we're also considering potential future investments. Next slide, please. Thanks. So the building that we're considering today for the abatement is a 1.1 million square foot building. It's designed and most of the infrastructure is underway. If you've driven by, you can see that. And we're proceeding here with the planned construction here this year. We're also underway for another building that we would come back for later, that could start later this year or early in '24. That would be along Jim Black Road where the farmhouse and other barns and things are located today, which we have plans to demolish here shortly. The next 2 buildings, however, are in the floodplain, so we have to do significant earthwork to raise those out of the floodplain on the frontage of 44 and near the Amity Ditch, to the west side of Amity Ditch. We have to work with all of the acronyms at the state and Army Corps and all of those entities to get that raised and put out of the floodplain in order to build our next 2 buildings. which would be 3 and 4 for this park. As I mentioned, the tenants, they're nationally recognized, as you can see, Energizer, Amazon, solid financially. And the average compensation of employees for our tenants is around $51,000 per year across our parks. And it's difficult to say because we don't know what type of operation will be in the building. So it's a pretty big range, but 200 to 1,000 employees per building based on the size of that building and the operation of the tenant. So a few development challenges, as I already mentioned, the major site and infrastructure work in order to build the buildings needs to be done ahead of time. Right now, we're taking on the cost of putting in public roads and extending utilities into the park to service our buildings. And right now, we're shouldering that burden. The floodplain, wetland mitigation, relocation of a major gas pipeline as we go further to the east. It runs at a 45-degree angle right through the middle of property that we own. And that process will happen in the future to relocate that to make our site plan more efficient, to be able to have better roads and sized buildings. And then we'll continue to extend those public utilities to the east through our planned development. So I say that because without abatements, there's additional costs there that we're taking on to develop this, and our competition in, frankly, the entire state has abatements on all of their large buildings as well. So when we go out to the market to compete for these spec buildings, without an abatement, it does put us at a disadvantage from a marketing standpoint. It's a picture of the building that we plan to build here on the building 2, as we call it, site on the north side of the property. And color may or may not change blue. That's the Amazon blue. But we did dress up the corners a bit with some awnings and more windows and make it a little more attractive there at the corner, which would be the main entrance for employees and the office. So happy to answer any questions you have about the building, the park, or Sunbeam.
Justin, I have really 2 questions. One are any of these buildings, the ones we had discussions on about buffer zones, they're along behind Nyberg? You may not, I don't know if you were in the room when that was all discussed.
Yeah, I wasn't with Sunbeam yet, but Jamie could probably answer.
Nyberg is farther down. This building isn't adjacent to Nyberg.
It's not
but
impacted.
Nyberg would be building, let's see, this is 2, 3, 4, this would be 5.
Well,
Yeah.
whenever that comes, that's certainly a reason for abatement.
Yes.
But
Yes.
the other question I have for Justin is, you were here before, you've been in this town before, haven't you?
Yeah, I lived here in Franklin for 10 years, in 2004 to 2014.
How do I know you? Rotary or something?
Rotary.
There
yeah.
you go.
I went through the chairs and I was the president of the Rotary Club here in Franklin. Yep.
Well, I think I went to enough meetings then to remember you. So.
I had hair on my head and none on my face. So
You did a good job when you were here. So.
oh, thank you.
Yeah, public hearing.
Currently live in Franklin?
No, I currently live in Fishers.
Okay, so you're running the show up there.
Yeah,
so to speak.
Jamie runs the show, but yes, I work for Jamie.
Okay.
So Dana, before we open this up for public hearing, can you go over the sheet of that?
Yes, sir.
I always like to get out in the public?
Yes, I can. So when you look at this land is currently farmland. Let me pull up my numbers so that I get them accurately. When you look at this right now, at the AV that is currently shown, the taxes being paid today is $10,957. The AV for this entire area is $549,000. When you estimate the $78 million that would come in with the building, a rough estimate, as you know, the investment numbers, when we look at the assessed value generally runs about 80% of the investment numbers. But right now, actually, Mr. Crisp and I were talking about that. Things are so up and down in the construction market, it's hard to say exactly what that final estimate is going to be. So I just went ahead and used the $78 million. At 10 years, even with an abatement, this project could bring in $2,586,588 If it stayed the farmland like it is right now, at the end of 10 years, it would be $109,000. So you're talking about a difference from $2 million to $109,000 in taxes that the city would receive even with the tax abatement. At the end of 20 years, with this building and with the tax abatement, this building will still generate $36 million in taxes. If it stayed farmland without any improvements, it would be $317,000. So you can certainly see the difference there that this kind of project brings in.
Hey, Dana, I think you misspoke on just, on the 10 years worth of taxes, that using your numbers, it would actually be 12 million.
12 million, yeah, 10
12
million per year, 12 million for over 10, you're correct.
Yes,
sir,
it's
sorry about that.
almost 13 million, and it's 109,000.
Correct.
Over 10 years. So
Right.
and I always like to get that out there because you always hear the people say they get a tax abatement and they don't pay taxes. I think $13 million in 10 years on one building is paying taxes. So I always want to make sure we get that out there.
I think it's important to note, too, that that $13 million is due regardless of whether there's a tenant or not as well. Those buildings are always, they're paid every year on their property taxes on the real property.
So if you do the math, it's even over the 10 years with the tax abatement, it's over $1 million a year, the average that it'll bring in.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, as I said, this was heard by the EDC last month, and they did recommend approval for the ERA designation, as well as the 10-year standard tax abatement with the 2% economic development fee. Mr. Taylor is your representative. I always want to give you the opportunity if you have anything to say, sir.
Yeah, the only other things that Sunbeam has been a really good partner for the city the last few years with, Energizer and bringing in Amazon, and they have a vision for this whole plan. They're spending a ton of their own money with the infrastructure, with the pipeline and the roads, and so we feel they're a good partner for the city that, they're not asking for us to pay for those things.
So with all that being said, we do have a public hearing.
Yes, sir.
So I'd like to really at this time open up the public hearing for the ERA. So is there anybody that would like to speak on that? And Dana, do you want to just say real quick what the ERA is?
The ERA is the Economic Revitalization Area. That is a designation that is required by the state in order for any municipality to be able to grant a tax abatement. That area first has to receive that designation. So that is the first step. That ERA will encompass the entire park, the 542 acres. The tax abatements will be on each individual building. So each individual building will be determined based on its own merits, whereas the ERA encompasses the entire park.
Okay, thank you. So is there anybody that would like to speak to that? We're in a public hearing. Hearing none on the ERA, we will close the public hearing on the ERA, and now we will open up for a public hearing on the tax abatement request. If there's anybody has any questions, comments, please feel free. Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing on the tax abatement request. So now it's back to the council for any further questions or action.
So I would move to approve Resolution 23-04 and Resolution 23-05.
Second.
Okay, we have a second by Jennifer, I believe. So we have a motion and a second on both resolutions.
Why don't we take a vote on each individual one?
Okay, so we'll take a vote first on Resolution 23-04. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, we'll go to Resolution 23-05. We already have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, tax abatement has been approved.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So I know that Ann has something that she needs to go with her child with. Do you have any public comments, Ann, or any council comments?
I don't, thank you.
You're excused, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Just what you want is another banquet, right?
I know, right?
Josh?
I just want to mention that publicly the appreciation for Police Officer Jason Heineman, who recently retired. And want to thank him for his service to the city and everything. So,
Thank you.
Very nice. Mayor, I know that we just did the one motion for the one. Are we going to do the other?
Say that again, Ken?
No, we did
We did both.
you did both. I thought
We had two different motions. Are you talking about the ERA and the abatement?
yes.
Yeah, we approved them both.
Okay, I just want to.
Yeah, I did the resolution for both of them at the beginning, so
I thought you
kinda-
separated
I must
them into one.
No, he made a motion to approve both of them. He called for a separate vote on each one of them, and you voted on both of them.
Sorry, just trying to verify, make sure we got all our i's
Good job.
dotted and t's crossed.
Thank you.
My bad.
So you got any,
I don't have anything, Mayor. Thank you.
Sean,
Nothing tonight, sir.
Bob?
I want to thank the mayor and Sally Brown for coming by Compass Park today to talk to the residents about the wastewater treatment plant and about some concerns that I think were adequately addressed. Of course, Mayor, you always did a good job speaking. Sally started off saying she's not a good public speaker, but she held her own very well. Yeah, she did an excellent job. So shout out to both of you for
Thank
a good presentation today. Thank you.
Thank you. Irene?
No, nothing tonight, sir.
Jennifer?
No, thank you.
You're up.
So we finalized the statue design for the center of the roundabout. And next Tuesday, we're going to be giving our presentation to the Rotary Club to ask for fundraising. And then our arts committee is meeting with Arlon, who is designing the sculpture, before spring break, and that's about it.
Thank you. Good job. You want to introduce your counterpart?
This is Maddie.
Hi, Maggie. All right. All right. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate our student leadership. Hey, Tara, do you have anything you want to add? Jane? Nothing, sir. Ms. Rhodes?
You're talking about me?
Did I say Ms. Rhodes?
Yes.
Hi, Lynn Gray. Nice to meet you. I don't have anything.
Okay, so now we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Sean. All those in favor?
Aye.
Good seeing you, Dan. I know.
Sorry.